G'day, ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today, we're going to be having a look at a match in its entirety. What we're going to do is we're going to start off on the ground, finish up in the air, and sort of walk you through the whole process and exactly what I do. So today, we're looking at the 6.7 lineup for the US, T29, T92, Premium Pershing, which can be subbed out for the Super Pershing, or T25 or M26. It doesn't really matter. It's just there. It's just an extra tank at roughly 6.3, 6.7. And then I've also got the Bearcat and the A2D. Now, first off, we're going to start in the T92. And as you can see, mine is pretty much dead stock. There's not a whole lot that I have on this tank except for parts. And now, because of this match FPE, it's proven to be an interesting tank. I really want to get the APDS, test out how much that 250 mils of pen does, and eventually sort of figure out the tank as a unit, as a little beast. A lot of people do talk up this tank because, from what I can tell, it is a fairly decent tank. The only issue is I have yet to unlock its potential because I just haven't played it enough. T92 seems to be decent, and stock, it has APCR, but at 6.7 there are a lot of lightly armored vehicles that sort of come up. So as long as you hit them center of mass, try and avoid the angles, you should be alright. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically just doing one thing. I'm looking to accrue spawn points, because what I really want is to test out the A2D in ground battles. Now, I haven't really gotten a good chance to do this, and this was my sort of first real go at it. And as you can see, I'm just heading straight towards C, looking for stuff that I can scout. Maybe I can, pick off that, looks like maybe a Tiger 2 that shot at me. Doesn't really matter. What I want to do is I want to get scout kills, or scout assists rather. I want to take out whatever might be contesting the cap with us. So there's an SS11, there'll soon be an M50 Ontos, and there'll be myself. What we want to do is we want to contest the other light tanks that are taking the cap, and then cap it for ourselves, and that's extra SP. So as you can see, the vehicle has been marked, and I see it as a medium tank, although it is an Orbital little light tank destroyer sort of thing, and I just aim center mass, hit the turret ring, and take out the crew. You can see that the APCR shell is actually fairly decently damaging. It actually does a fair bit of work for the caliber and for the round that you're firing. You'd expect APCR to be pretty trash, but against lightly armored targets, I suppose any round is a good round, as long as it's, not APHE, because it won't detonate the fuse in some cases. But needless to say, I got myself a kill and I have a cap, so I don't have to do any more work to spawn in the A2D, but I want to, grind some upgrades on this thing. I want to contest the cap, I want to keep pushing forward, and eventually, maybe I could get an ace with this. Maybe I could, get some stuff researched. So, as you can see, there is a Panther 2 behind the buildings, and I've scouted him. Basically, what I'm hoping is for those guys a little bit further north of me to more or less take care of him, and the guys to the south to sort of flank him. But it's not really happening. The battle is sort of stagnating, and I guess I'm just being too aggressive for my own detriment, really. I really want to get this Panther 2 out. I managed to scout him, and I hit the side of the turret. If I had HFS, or if I had the APFSDS, or the APDS, sorry, I think I would have had him. And this is, it could have been a lot better at this stage, but tunnel vision gets me killed. There's a Jagdpanzer 4.5 that has made its way across the field somehow and made it onto the cap. And so leave me with no choice but to spawn the A2D. Now, the A2D was recently added in the last patch, and it is perhaps one of the most interesting CAS vehicles that the Americans get. It's essentially a Wyvern cross a Skyraider. It's jet cross prop. I never got to get my hands on the Wyvern, but the A2D feels very, very strange. You're used to a prop, and you feel a prop has a certain acceleration. It has, a certain climb rate. It has certain characteristics about it, and jets also are completely different. This feels like a hybrid in between. It's almost like it gets the best of both. It gets a really, really good acceleration, really good climb rate, really good turn rate, but at the same time, it is fairly heavy, and once it is slow, the A2D doesn't have the low speed maneuverability that most props do have. So if you're looking to combat the A2D, making it slow is a really, really solid way to get it to, perish, basically. So, onto the Cass. I managed to bomb out a Jagdpanther who's in the middle of the field. Probably not the priority target, but I did notice that he was pushing the cap, and what I want is for the C cap to be free. I don't want people to have the C cap contested. I want it all for our team, basically, and essentially just try and keep it in our control. Now, as you can see, there's a marker that I'm following. I'm following a little chevron, and I see another tank behind it, so I decide to drop the bombs roughly in that area, and I managed to get the Leopard. Someone else manages to take the other kill. I believe it's I can't exactly see what it is, but we have a nice little flurry of kills from that spot, and that camping spot there is really important to get rid of, because essentially you can contest the road to the spawn, and from between the cap and the spawn with that camping spot. So having that ridgeline free of enemy snipers is really, really important, and you can see exactly what that's done. That's sort of freed us up to push more tanks into C. That's exactly what we want. It's also cutting out the flankers. Maybe you saw earlier a little Fiat armored car come and try and snipe a friendly. That's no good for us, but yeah, that's all good, done and dusted. I try to get another bomb, and I just continue straight and low because I know there's no SPAA up, and I need to keep my speed because something tells me there's another plane in the air. Generally, if you take out a tank, someone will respawn in a plane if they've done well enough, and you can do that by keeping a track of the scoreboard. There it is, right above me there, a 262, and I believe it is a narwhal. So we should have an easy time as long as we can stay on his 6. The only thing that we've got to do is we've got to look for big targets and make sure that the big targets are safe. And there's a PE8 there. I managed to crit the 262, and that pretty much looks like it sort of saved the PE8. The PE8 goes in for a dive and wastes that. Very frustrating. But no time to waste. There's an SS11 being harassed by Panther 2. Drop my bombs on him as he cowers behind the logs, and I get him. Nice kill, good save, and that's another teammate saved. That's C continuously held. And that's very, very important. You want to, in close air support, prioritize your targets so that you can, 1, get as many kills as possible, and 2, make sure that you secure the map. An enemy in their spawn is far less dangerous than an enemy contesting the cap. And one of the things that you have to consider is, where are those enemies? Where are the important targets? Perhaps the guy contesting the cap is some sort of low tier SPAA, maybe like an AA truck, and the guy in the spawn is an MBT. Then you'd want to take him out. That is a Ho-Ri, and not just any old Ho-Ri. That is a Ho-Ri production, and the last thing I want is for my team to get flanked by this guy, and it looks like he's going to be laying on the hurt because I don't manage to get the bombs off. Now, I can see that there's something with the Bearcat, and the Bearcat might begin to have a dogfight. So I thought, you know what, maybe I can trust him. Maybe he can. But at the same time, one good rule when you play an online game is never trust your teammates at all. You just can't afford to. It's just as simple as that. There's nothing that you should really do to trust your team. Sometimes they just fail you miserably, and that's the way it goes. Anyway, fast forwarding a little bit to me rearming. This plane climbs off the runway fairly well, and honestly, it's certainly not a bad little plane when it comes to climb rate. But you can see right now that I'm pretty much over the base, and it's pretty quick. The Ho-Ri is laying on the hurt, so what I need to do is I need to take this guy out pretty quickly. I gotta just fire a couple of rounds to make sure he's still alive. Apologies for the stuttering, by the way, if you're getting that. I'm Not really sure what that's all about, but bear with me because this match is pretty impressive. Anyway, I kill the Ho-Ri, and I think for me that's the real priority target. And then I start to see a mouse. Now, the mouse, whilst not a massive threat to things like a BMP or something like that, is a huge threat to SPAA. And I need to get rid of this guy pretty fast. He's the priority target. He's already contested the cap, and now he's guarding it. And so what I want to do is I want to take him out and make sure that the team can safely advance to the cap and take it. Perhaps get some spawn points, perhaps spawn a proper tank instead of an SPAA, and make a comeback. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to concentrate all of my efforts on this mouse. This guy is probably the priority target at the moment. Now my bombs sort of fall around it. I'm not getting good shots. I'm missing my bombs. Pretty poor performance here, to be honest. And I have one more opportunity, so I take it nice and slow, release the bombs, and sure enough, I get a nice explosion. There goes the mouse. What that has basically done now is that has allowed the guys to go and cap B. And that's massive. That is absolutely massive. Such a huge thing because it gives us the advantage. We've lost C. We only have one cap. I don't want to lose any tickets, and it's clear that my team is probably not going to win by killing all the enemies because they're just getting shredded. This is a big map. We're facing the Germans, so the Germans are good at long range. They have the long 88, they have the 105, they have the L7 as well. And not to say that we don't have good long range guns, but I think the Germans get the best of both worlds when it comes to muzzle velocity, penetration, and I guess shell damage. So that long 88 is very, very good at range. It's incredibly devastating, and their armor is also fantastic at range. So the Germans probably have the fraggers advantage. I would call it the fraggers advantage. They are able to take out as many tanks as possible, and so what we need to do is we would need to win by map control. And one of the things that close air support can do is exactly that, holding on to positions in the map by denying strategic positions for the enemy, particularly sniping points. So, for example, so America, like you can see, American vehicles are surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, good at countering German vehicles or lineups as such. You see the close air support is extremely good at killing tanks, although the aircraft for the Germans, your G6, Narwhal, there's some fantastic casts, but heavy casts is really an American thing. You can see the counterplay to that being the German SPAA, German planes, and it's sort of less of a multi-role thing and more of a specialized thing. Not so much as Britain at top tier, like I've discussed in another video, but very, very similar. And there's a little bit more interplay. There's a little bit more flexibility. But back to the game now. I'm looking at securing the cap for the team. Obviously, I can't land. I want B. I want a triple cap, and I want to win this as quickly as possible. But that's not really going to happen with a Narwhal behind me. He's gone. I lost him. I lost the Narwhal. I rarely do this in tanks anymore. You get better at this as time goes on. But I've gone into a vertical to try and break the Narwhal. And then I've gone into another vertical. I can't see the Narwhal. I can't see the Arado C3 that was chasing me earlier. And it's starting to worry me. I need to go back down. I need to go back to base. Get some ordnance again. But I also need to spot for my team. I need to keep those markers on the enemy tank. That Tiger 2 isn't going to die by itself. I need someone to come up behind it. And surely enough, I lose enough speed, get taken out by another Narwhal. Obviously, the A2D being a massive plane, has huge wings, and it's such a big target for a tank for a tank buster like a Narwhal. And so I decide we need to finish this by Cass, and I jump into my Bearcat. Bearcat, my old faithful, one of the best planes that I've ever flown. Probably one of my all-time favorites in War Thunder over the course of the 5 years that I have played. I played it a lot in squadron battles. I played it a lot in RB. It's the plane that I essentially learnt how to properly play an air RB with. I learned how to climb, I learned how to dogfight, and I learned how to CAS. This plane is one of the best all-rounders for ground RB, and you can see I'm trying to make my way downtown, flying fast, not quite homebound, but I do see a Tiger II that I am going to send right back to the hangar with 2 1,000-pound bombs. I try and ditch the bomb mid-turn here, which doesn't really work, but basically, if I can get B capped, we win. Or if I can kill enough, we win. Because we have drained the tickets enough, and you can see that 262 crashed and has drained 200 tickets. If I can get maybe one more kill, or if the team can get maybe one more kill, then we have a pretty secure victory. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for another King Tiger. I'm looking for something. And then the team starts capping B. C. So I'm looking for something that might be capping B to, counteract that. But it's a little bit late. They have one cap. We have one cap, sorry. That A cap was never contested all game long. And it's essentially given us the victory by caps. We didn't even need to kill them all. We just capped them out. And we controlled the map in the correct spots, eventually leading to a victory. This is why close air support is so useful. And this is why countering close air support can be extremely important. But not only that, it doesn't win you games. It does and it doesn't. It's a big double-edged sword. It's a wild card. So ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching. Drive fast, do CAS, and I'll catch you later.